Hello, everybody. This is Anya Stevens-Bowl, Executive Officer of Thrombosis UK. Me and Professor Paul Bennett are going to do a little short chat with you just about anxiety and how it relates to blood clots. Paul, if you'd like to introduce yourself, that'd be fabulous.
Hello, I'm Paul Bennett. I'm a Professor of Psychology at Swansea University. But also in the past have been a clinical psychologist working with people with health problems. So that's why I'm here.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, Paul, what we know about blood clots, including deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary embolisms, is that they're one of the many medical conditions that can raise anxiety levels in patients. Could you please explain to us why this is, and perhaps go over a few of the more common symptoms that patients might experience so they're able to recognise them as anxiety as opposed to potential medical problems?
Yeah, sure. One of the reasons I think, well, first of all, obviously not all people get anxious once they've had a VTE, a thrombosis or whatever, but a lot of people do. And in a sense, it's a normal reaction, and that's the thing to bear in mind. It's a normal reaction to a potentially quite anxiety-provoking, worrying health condition. And why that is the case? Well, if you look at what predicts whether people become anxious about their health, some of the classic issues around thrombosis are among them. So if a condition is sudden, if it's unexpected, if it is potentially very serious, then those are the sort of things that are likely to predict people feeling anxious, at least for a period of time after they've experienced it. So part of the reason that I'm now working with Thrombosis UK is that the onset and the nature of a thrombosis, whether it's a pulmonary embolism, a DVT, or another form of clot, is actually almost classic health challenge that is going to, in most people, engender some degree of anxiety, some degree of concern. And what we've done over the past few years is talk to a range of people that have had emotional or maybe not had emotional problems as a result of their VTE. And what we've identified is three broad types of response. Some people are fine. They just think, been and gone, no problem. Some people experience sort of what I would call intrusive worries. They worry about the implications, they worry about the impact it's going to have on their life. And it's a sort of low grade, sort of rumbling concern. If they have the odd sensation that reminds them of the experience, it may trigger them to think about it. But it's not acute, it's not scary, it's this long sort of background sort of concern, worry, etc. Some people, though, do experience acute levels of anxiety, almost indeed some people genuinely have a panic. And that really relates to maybe relating back to the symptoms they had at the time. So one of the problems is that panic is engendered by feelings of being breathless. And people that have had a pulmonary embolism in particular may experience episodes of breathlessness, like we all do. If I walk up the flight of the stairs at my ripe old age, I get a bit short of breath, but I think, oh dear, I need to get fitter, or oh, I'm getting old. But if you've already had symptoms or sensations like that when you were having your pulmonary embolism, for example, it can trigger thoughts of, oh my God, am I having another PE? Is there some sort of problem here? And those thoughts can then trigger a sort of train that leads to people having a genuine panic attack. So that harking back to the original symptoms and that sort of feeling of, oh my God, what's going on now? Am I having a problem? Can be enough for some people to give them a short-term, much more acute sort of panic episode. And then less often, but some people have sort of literal flashbacks, memories of the event itself. as a sort of quite scary sort of memory that can occur out of the blue for no reason at all. But that's a sort of lesser group of people. So if you think about it, there are these long-term nagging worries that are experienced probably by most people, to be absolutely honest. There are these acute sort of panic issues that are really frightening at the time, that are experienced by a significant number, but by no means all. And then by a smaller group of people, there may be these sort of trauma memories. Wow, I think I've been rambling. I'll head on over to you now, Anya.
Thank you, Paul. That's very, very useful. Now, we know there are many ways that we can help ourselves to manage anxiety, and this Q&A session is about mindfulness. Could you please explain to us what this is all about?
Yeah, I think I've been thinking, because I knew this question was coming, strangely enough, but I've been thinking about how to, what is the context? And if you think back to one of the symptoms, if you like, of the panic I was talking about before, one of the problems is that when people begin to get panicky or anxious or generally worried, we tend to focus on those worries. They become a sort of central center part of our attention. I'm feeling short of breath, so you focus on your breath and think, am I breathing properly? You have worries that are concerning you, and you think, I need to deal with these, I need to think about them. And in a way, part of our natural reaction to concerns, anxieties, is almost that focus in on issues that are of concern, whether they're physical symptoms or they're, our thoughts or whatever. And in a sense, mindfulness is almost it is generally the opposite of that. What it is trying to become fully aware of the current experience that we're having. So rather than focus into a particular aspect of that experience, we become aware of the wider experience. What am I feeling? What am I touching? What am I hearing? What am I looking at? So that that initial focus on concerning issues are actually not actively pushed away. No, I'm not going to think about them. But by widening the focus to that entirety of our experience, then those concerns, those thoughts, those sensations become less dominant, less overtaking our sort of attention, and therefore become less problematic in a way. So mindfulness is being absolutely aware of what is going on around us, not trying to interpret it, not trying to focus on particular elements, but living in the present, not concerned about the future, not thinking about the past. So it's a widening of our experience so that we experience everything that is happening to us at that particular moment, rather than focusing in on particular aspects that are worrying or concerning us. Does that make you're a bit of an expert on this? So does that fit with your experience, Anya?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm an expert on this, but I certainly have quite a lot of experience, both personal experience. I find mindfulness very useful for myself. And I've also been involved in a few classes with mindfulness, and hopefully we will be starting up something along those lines for Thrombosis UK patients who might find it useful to them, both at this time when we're also stressed about COVID and, with it, especially with it affecting the lungs. I'm sure it's playing on a lot of people's minds, but we're hoping that it might go on into the future and just be able to help people be more mindful about what's going on in here. In the future, it may be something that we can run on a permanent basis.
Well, at a time of COVID, it's quite interesting because it's almost impossible to avoid all these reminders of lungs and sensations and shortness of breath. To be fair, I've never had a pulmonary embolism, I've never had a thrombosis, but I find myself constantly thinking about all these issues. I watch the TV, it's quite funny, and I watch a film and there's people together. I think, no, you mustn't be together, you must be separate, you must be socially isolated. It's that dominance. So if you combine that dominance and that focus of the media attention on areas that are particularly pertinent to people that have had a thrombosis, then it's no surprise that people are becoming more anxious or experiencing anxiety about the sensations, the symptoms they're experiencing. So yeah, mindfulness is almost like not having that as the focus, but shifting to a wider focus so that doesn't dominate your thoughts, doesn't dominate your experiences. And it goes back to the Buddhists. I mean, this is, you know, a very ancient and very noble sort of process.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that definition. Is mindfulness something which comes to us instinctively, Paul, do you think? Or do we have to practice it?
Well, oddly, some people it comes absolutely naturally. There are some lucky people out there, but there's a range. Some people are naturally very mindful. Some people require a lot of practice. Some people require a little bit of practice. But what most people find is that routine, regular practice for a short period each day actually facilitates that sort of process. And for most people, to be fair, you need to practice and sort of learn some of the art, some of the process. And then a little bit each day can then, you know, a little bit of focus practice can then sort of spread out to the rest of the day and help people keep calm and less anxious.
Absolutely, absolutely. And are there other tactics we can harness to help us manage our stress levels at this time?
It's interesting because as a clinical psychologist, historically, what we used to do and what many psychologists still do is almost the opposite of mindfulness, which is really strange in the sense that if you think about a panic attack, one of the things that I was talking about was that focus and, oh my God, I'm having a problem here. And then that sort of what we call self-talk that sort of begins to sort of wind you up. And what some people have argued and what can be very helpful for a panic is just to remind yourself that, hang on, I've had these symptoms before, I've had these sensations before. They're not symptoms of a thrombosis, I'm not having a PE. So that sort of self-talk, talking yourself down. So reminding that you've been here before, reminding yourself that it wasn't a problem, reminding yourself that these symptoms are probably not a thrombosis. And part of the problem is that it's that automatic, oh my God, I'm having a problem. And you have to break that with some sort of calm down messages that remind yourself. So that these calm down messages don't necessarily come automatically, because obviously if you're feeling under threat, then that becomes the dominant thought. So you can calm yourself, you can talk yourself down. Another very useful strategy, which we do have a leaflet for on the internet, is relaxation, because a lot of that, what mindfulness does in a way is calm the mind and calm the body. But there are some useful ways that you can calm the body down to stop that some of those sensations that go along with anxiety that people are experiencing. Now, oh God, I'm going mad here. Learning to relax, again, takes a little bit of time. It's not the sort of thing that you can instantly do. But again, that can be a simple strategy you can bring in. But I think even more widely, if people are experiencing sort of these longer term, wider, it's about having a structure to the day. It's about doing things in the day that fill your time so that you're not simply sitting there worrying, thinking, being concerned, doing things that you enjoy. Now, you know, we can't fill our days necessarily with things we enjoy, but if you have a structure, if you have things that you're looking forward to, and, you know, let's be honest, one of my problems is I eat too much. I love my food. So what I need to do if I get, oh, I want to eat, is do something that I enjoy, something that distracts me, something that engages me. Don't always do it, but that's what I should be doing. So there are some simple strategies that we can do that if you know, for panic, it can be that relaxation, it can be that self-talk. For that wider sort of anxiety, it can be mindfulness, it can be you know, people talk about coloring books. Now, I'm not a great book colorer, but people talk about doing that in a mindful way because it absorbs you, it fills your attention. So it's something that grabs your attention and takes it away from maybe some of these underlying thoughts. So there's a range of things that people can do, and there's obviously results on the website all over the place, but Thrombosis UK now has them as well, that people can utilize.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Paul, for your expertise and your input. It really, really is appreciated by us. Thank you so much.
No,
so, if you think that mindfulness could benefit you at this time of increased stress during the uncertainty around COVID-19, or just generally, why not join me at our weekly sessions on Zoom? They're free of charge, last no more than an hour, and are a safe and confidential and supportive space for you to share and explore how you're feeling. There's even a lovely short meditation at the end to chill you out and set you up for the rest of the day. We have resources kindly developed by Professor Bennett and his team available on Thrombosis UK website. These include leaflets on active distraction, meditation and mindfulness, general relaxation, and getting to sleep at night. Something I know that a lot of people are suffering from at the moment is insomnia. There's also a useful information sheet on post-thrombotic pain syndrome, and Prof will also be producing a set of short videos for us over the coming weeks on various subjects surrounding blood clots and anxiety. There are links to presentations about VTE and psychological recovery given by Professor Bennett and other respected clinicians as part of our National Thrombosis Week events, and a link to the American Society of Hematology guidelines, all on our website, www.thrombosisuk.org. All these resources can be found under the No Thrombosis tab in the subsection Psychological Impact of VTE. I hope to see you all soon. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.